Hello guys, welcome to the Popcorn Podcast. My name is Dylan, of course. Hope you guys are all doing fantastic. Today we're going to be talking about Zack Snyder's brand new film, which premiered on Netflix today, of which I just finished watching actually, Army of the Dead. So without further ado, let's get on straight into the review. So Army of the Dead stars Dave Bautista as Scott Ward, who puts together a team of extremely badass mercenaries to retrieve $200 million from a vault in Las Vegas. The problem here is that Vegas really isn't the city we're all so familiar with, but instead, it's become the host of a major zombie outbreak. The whole place is now essentially one big quarantine zone infested with thousands and thousands of zombies that ultimately stand between our heroes and their big prize. So the plot, although very simple and straightforward, was one that I basically ended up loving. I mean, it's an action heist movie with zombies in Vegas. Why the fuck not? So if you've been following this channel for the past couple of months, you'll know that I am actually a huge fan of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm going to leave a link to my videos on them in the description box down below if you haven't seen my thoughts on them yet. But having said that, it was actually really refreshing to see him do a really dumb but fun standalone, action movie that wasn't necessarily tied to any expanded universes or anything like that. Army of the Dead sits in at about 2.5 hours, and straight off the bat, I know that there's going to be a load of people who think that this runtime is just way too long, and I mean that is fair enough because essentially this is a stupid dumb zombie movie. However, I actually thought the film was very well paced and I was never once bored. The runtime structure is sort of split so that the first 45 minutes or so is Bautista's character recruiting his team, and the rest of the film is essentially this one big epic heist mission. I thought the film was really well directed. I think Snyder does a great job in making everything crystal clear as to what's going on amongst all this zombie chaos, whether that's the character motives, the mechanics of the mission, or the action sequences themselves. The film looks beautiful as you'd expect from a Snyder production, and I actually really appreciate how all the events take place during the day. A lot of movies nowadays, they use nighttime settings to, cover up shoddy VFX or whatever, but that's not the case here. I thought all the actors did a pretty good job, both in the interactions they had with each other as well as the physicality that they brought to their respective roles. I feel like the Hollywood market for zombies has become very saturated over the years. A lot of TV shows and films use a similar premise, whether that be, The Walking Dead or Zombieland or Shaun of the Dead or World War Z, or even Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, which I think came out like 2004 or something like that. So in many ways, this is just another zombie film. However, if I had to point to one thing that would differentiate this film amongst all the other stuff out there, it'd probably be the zombies themselves. These zombies can actually think intelligently, they feel emotion. There's a zombie king and there's a zombie queen, there's even a zombie tiger. The character designs are so much more distinct. In fact, I remember there's a line of dialogue earlier on in the film where someone states that people always think Vegas is like a prison for the dead, but in fact it's actually their kingdom. So with all of that in mind, this kind of feels weird since I'm talking about zombies, but there's this sort of added layer of depth to the whole location and the premise of this movie. With regards to negatives, there aren't a massive amount to call out, but the biggest one was probably the weak characterization. Aside from Bautista's character and the relationship he has with his daughter, I didn't really care about any of the other characters. I mean, they're all very cool and they're all very badass for sure. But, when people start biting the dust, I didn't really care that much. And it doesn't really help that the main sort of character motive is to retrieve this massive pile of cash. It's quite uninteresting in that aspect. The ending of the film as well, I thought was, really formulaic of this zombie genre. I remember thinking to myself at the start of the movie, I was hoping that they weren't going to do this, but they did. And I mean, it didn't completely ruin the film for me or anything, but when you have your audience guessing what the ending of the movie is going to be, or an aspect of the ending, that's not really a great sign. But yeah, luckily it didn't, it wasn't make or break for me. So to wrap up this review, I'm going to give Army of the Dead a B. I think it's certainly a lot of fun. There's some nice, gory zombie action and visual spectacle. And yeah, you guys can check it out on Netflix right now. And if you do, be sure to leave your thoughts on the film down below in the comments section. Let me know what you think. Also, if you did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like and consider subscribing to the Popcorn Podcast channel to jump on board. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you guys all have an awesome weekend, and I'll catch you very soon in the next video.